Whispers of betrayal, broken trust, and explosive confrontations are dominating every corner of the reality TV world right now. And at the center of it all stand Jackie, Evelyn, and Ty. Reports suggest that Jackie has finally reached her breaking point, calling out Evelyn for allegedly destroying Ty's marriage and crossing boundaries that no friend should ever cross. The story has spread like wildfire, leaving fans stunned and divided, each side demanding answers as emotions run high. Insiders claim the tension had been brewing for weeks, with quiet suspicions turning into fiery accusations. But now with Jackie openly voicing what many had been whispering behind closed doors, the drama has reached an entirely new level. Scenes of raised voices, pointed fingers, and shocking declarations are said to have played out in front of stunned cast members who could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Social media has erupted with reactions, fans labeling it one of the boldest confrontations yet. Was Jackie standing up for her family, or was she fanning the flames of chaos? Was Evelyn really guilty of undermining Ty's marriage, or is she being painted as the villain? Once again, the questions are endless. The stakes are personal, and the fallout promises to change everything. Studio lights burned hot as whispers, turned into gasps, and the cameras caught the kind of tension that even reality TV rarely captures. Jackie, who had spent weeks quietly watching, finally let her emotions boil over. Her voice carried across the room, sharp enough to cut through the chatter as she called Evelyn out directly, leaving everyone frozen in disbelief. Those in the room described it as the moment the energy shifted completely, like the ground beneath them had cracked open. How dare you pretend to be Ty's friend when all along you've been sneaking around with her husband? Jackie shouted, her words echoing louder than anyone had ever expected. She didn't just accuse. She laid bare what many had suspected, but no one had dared to voice in public. Cameras zoomed in on Ty, whose face turned pale, her eyes filling with tears. She struggled to hold back. Evelyn tried to maintain her composure, tilting her head with that trademark confidence, but her hands fidgeted, betraying her nerves. "Not what happened," she said, her voice firm but trembling at the edges. "You're twisting things to make me look like the enemy." But no amount of denial could erase the weight of Jackie's accusations. The cast, who had been seated around the long, glossy table, were now leaning in, some covering their mouths in shock, others whispering frantically as if they couldn't believe this confrontation was happening live. It wasn't just a personal feud anymore. It was family on the line, reputations hanging in the balance, and marriages at risk of collapsing under the pressure. Ty finally stood up, her voice breaking as she faced Evelyn. "Tell me the truth right here in front of everyone. Were you with my husband or not?" Her demands silenced the entire room. Even the producers behind the cameras were reportedly unsure whether to intervene or let the moment play out. But the rawness of Ty's plea held everyone captive. Evelyn took a deep breath, her eyes darting around as though searching for an ally. "You're believing gossip over me," she said slowly, but her tone lacked the fire she usually carried. "Your marriage problems have nothing to do with me." It was a deflection, and everyone noticed. Jackie wasn't having it. She stepped closer, her finger pointing directly at Evelyn. "Don't you dare act innocent. I've seen the messages. I've heard the phone calls. You want me to put it all out here?" The threat in her voice sent a chill across the room. Ty's sobs turned into anger, her breathing heavy as she struggled to process what she was hearing. She looked at Jackie, her eyes wide with shock. "Messages? What messages?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jackie's lips pressed tightly, as though deciding how much to reveal. "It's Ty. You deserve to know everything," she finally said, her voice softening for the first time. "I didn't want to be the one to tell you like this, but you can't keep living in the dark." He's been seeing Evelyn, and it hasn't just been one mistake. It's been going on. Gasps erupted around the room, some cast members holding their heads in their hands, others whispering that this had gone too far. Fans watching later would flood social media with reactions, calling it one of the most shocking betrayals in the franchise's history. Ty collapsed back into her chair, clutching her chest as though she had been physically struck. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I trusted you," not even sure if she was addressing her husband, who wasn't present, or Evelyn, who stood frozen in place. Evelyn finally raised her voice, her eyes flashing with anger. "This is ridiculous. You all love painting me as the villain because it makes good television. But I don't owe anyone an explanation about private matters that have nothing to do with you." Her defiance only poured fuel on the fire. Jackie smirked bitterly, shaking her head. Oh no, this isn't just about television. This is about family. You knew exactly what you were doing when you crossed that line. You destroyed trust. And now you're hiding behind excuses. Emotions spiraled as producers whispered frantically behind the cameras about whether to cut to commercial or let them melt down air in full. They knew they were capturing ratings gold, but the humanity of the situation, the tears, the fury, the betrayal made it hard even for them to watch. Brandy leaned over to another castmate and whispered, "If this is true, there's no coming back from it." Her words mirrored what so many fans would later post online, that this wasn't just drama. It was destruction on a personal level that might never heal. Ty's voice rose again, her body trembling with rage and heartbreak. "Evelyn, you sat in my house. You smiled in my face, and all along you were sneaking around. How could you do this to me? How could you betray me like this?" Her cries were raw, unpolished, carrying the weight of a woman watching her marriage unravel in front of millions. Evelyn folded her arms across her chest, her stance defensive. "You want to blame me because it's easier than facing the truth about your husband. Maybe you should be questioning him instead of attacking me." Her words sliced through the room, redirecting the spotlight, but they didn't absolve her in anyone's eyes. Jackie shook her head slowly, her voice heavy with disappointment. "Stop deflecting. This isn't just about him. It's about you. Crossing boundaries that should never be crossed. You call yourself a friend, but no friend does this." By now, the tension had reached a boiling point, the kind where every breath seemed heavy. Every second stretched into eternity. Some cast members tried to intervene, but the energy was unstoppable. A storm that had already broken open. And in that storm, Ty's trembling hands and Evelyn's hardened stare created a visual no fan would ever forget, cementing this as one of the most unforgettable nights in reality TV history. The air in the studio felt suffocating as silence followed Jackie's brutal words, broken only by the sound of Ty's sobs echoing across the room. Evelyn shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her jaw tightening as though she was holding back a storm. The audience seated behind the cameras couldn't help but gasp, leaning forward with wide eyes as if they were watching a house collapse in real time. Every face told the same story. This wasn't a scripted feud. This was raw, and it was ugly. Ty wiped her tears with the back of her hand, her voice trembling but sharp. "You're supposed to be my friend," she cried out, her gaze locked on Evelyn. "You sat at my table. You shared my stories. You looked me in the eye and told me you had my back. But the whole time you were sneaking around with him, you ripped my family apart." Her pain was so visible that it was hard to look away. Evelyn took a deep breath, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. "Ty, you don't understand everything," she said carefully as if trying to regain some control over the situation. "Things aren't as simple as they look." Her tone wasn't apologetic. It was almost defensive, and that only made the room bristle with more tension. Jackie rolled her eyes and leaned forward, her voice cutting through like a blade. "Don't even try to spin this. You're caught. Evelyn, I warned you that secrets never stay hidden. And now here we are." The conviction in Jackie's words was undeniable, and it sent a ripple of murmurs through the cast sitting nearby. Brandy clutched her chest, whispering, "This is unreal," as she glanced at the producers who were frozen behind the cameras, unsure of how to handle the chaos. Suddenly, Ty stood up, her body trembling with anger. She slammed her hand against the table so hard that the glasses rattled. "Answer me right now," she demanded, her voice breaking. "Did you sleep with him? Yes or no?" The sheer force of her question sucked the air out of the room. For a moment, Evelyn froze, her lips parting as if she was searching for words. Her silence was deafening. The room leaned in, waiting for a confession or denial. Finally, she spoke, her voice low but firm. "I don't owe you an answer in front of all these people," she snapped. "This is between me and him, not you and me." The gasps were immediate. Even the cast who had stayed quiet up until now couldn't hide their shock. "Between you and him," Chantel muttered almost to herself, but loud enough for the cameras to pick it up. That single phrase was enough to confirm suspicions without Evelyn ever saying the words outright. Ty staggered back, her hands covering her mouth, her body trembling like she had been struck. "Oh my God," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You just admitted it." Her voice cracked into sobs again, and she collapsed back into her chair, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Jackie didn't miss the opportunity to strike again. "That's it. That's all the proof anyone needs. You just exposed yourself, Evelyn. You tore down a marriage and you don't even have the decency to admit your role in it openly. Her tone was cold, almost ruthless, as if she had been waiting for this exact moment to deliver her final blow. Evelyn shot her a glare, her voice rising with fury. "You love seeing me fall apart, don't you? You've always been jealous of me, Jackie. Admit it. This isn't about Ty. This is about you wanting to drag me down because you can't stand that people respect me." Her words were sharp, venomous, and for the first time, she aimed her fire directly at Jackie. The room buzzed with shock again, and a few cast members even gasped aloud. Jackie laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "Respect you, honey. Respect doesn't come from tearing families apart. Respect comes from loyalty, honesty, and integrity. 3 things you clearly don't have." The tension escalated further as Ty suddenly stood up again, this time pointing her finger at Evelyn. Her voice was raw, filled with rage and betrayal. "You stay away from my husband. You hear me? You stay away from him. You stay away from my family and you stay out of my life. I don't care what excuses you have. This ends now." Her words carried the weight to finality. But Evelyn wasn't backing down. She stood too, her eyes blazing with defiance. "Don't try to paint me as the only villain here. Your marriage was solid. No one could come between you. Maybe you should look at him, not me." That line was like throwing gasoline on fire. Ty lunged forward, restrained only by Jackie and another cast member who jumped in to hold her back. The room erupted into chaos as chairs scraped, glasses tipped, and voices rose to deafening levels. Fans who later watched clips online said it was one of the most explosive moments they had ever seen. With emotions so raw, it felt almost unbearable to watch. The producers finally stepped in, security rushing forward to separate the women as Ty screamed through tears. "You ruined my life. You ruined everything." Evelyn was pulled back, shouting over the chaos. "Blame your husband, not me." Social media would later explode with reactions. Hashtags trending within minutes as fans debated who was at fault, who was lying, and whether Ty and her husband's marriage could survive this kind of public destruction. The betrayal wasn't just on screen. It spilled into households everywhere, leaving viewers divided and shaken. And through it all, Jackie stood firm, her arms crossed, her eyes filled with both anger and sorrow. "This is what betrayal looks like," she said quietly but loud, enough for the cameras to catch. "And no one wins in the end." The studio air was thick with tension long after the camera stopped rolling. No one could ignore the echoes of shouting that seemed to bounce off every wall, replaying the confrontation on a loop inside everyone's mind. Ty sat slumped in the corner of her dressing room, her entire body trembling as if she had just run a marathon. She clutched a tissue so tightly it was tearing between her fingers. Her face was strewn with smudged makeup, eyes bloodshot, lips quivering with every uneven breath. "How could she do this?" she whispered over and over again, her voice cracking like a record stuck in one devastating groove. "How could she betray me like that?" Jackie was pacing in the same room, restless like a caged storm that refused to die down. Her heels thudded against the floor with each furious step, her hands moving sharply in the air as if she was cutting through invisible enemies. She didn't shed tears. She didn't collapse. She radiated rage, pure and unfiltered. "I knew it," she muttered, voice low but seething. "I knew Evelyn would bring nothing but destruction." She slithered her way in, smiling, pretending to be a friend. "And now look where we are. This isn't just betrayal. This is demolition of a family." Her palm slammed against the table with such force that Ty jolted upright. "She's not getting away with this. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what it costs. The world will know what kind of person she really is." A timid knock interrupted the fury and Brandy slipped inside, her face pale and eyes wide as though she had just seen a car accident. "You guys, it's everywhere already," she whispered, holding her phone out like it carried toxic fire. Clips of the fight are blowing up online. The hashtags are trending. Team T Tevelin. Even Jackie saves marriages. Fans are going crazy. Everyone's picking sides and people are demanding answers from Ty's husband. Her voice cracked with disbelief. This isn't just a scandal anymore. This is viral chaos. Ty buried her face in her hands, groaning in agony. "I don't care about the fans right now. I don't care about hashtags. This is my life, my marriage. They can all watch and laugh, but I'm the one who has to go home and face this reality." She stood suddenly, her chair screeching backward. Her body trembled, but her words came out like knives. She thought she could sneak around. She thought I wouldn't find out, but now it's out there for everyone to see. She ruined my family and laughed about it. I'm not letting her walk away clean. Meanwhile, across the hall, Evelyn's dressing room was a storm of its own. She was pacing back and forth, her heels clacking loudly with every sharp turn. Two producers hovered nervously nearby, trying and failing to calm her. Evelyn's arms flailed as she spoke, her voice dripping with defiance. "They're painting me as the villain," she snapped. Jackie loves to play savior. Ty loves to play victim. And I'm stuck being dragged through the mud for something that isn't even the whole story. She spun on her heel, glaring at the producers. Her marriage was a mess long before I came into the picture. Why is nobody talking about that? Why am I the one crucified when he's the one who made vows he couldn't keep? One producer dared to respond, voice careful. "Look, Evelyn, it's about optics. The way this all came out, it looks terrible. The audience isn't forgiving. You don't control the narrative now. This could stain your image. You don't control the narrative now. This could stain your image. For good." Evelyn threw her head back, letting out a bitter laugh. "My image, please. People have hated me before. People have cheered for me before. I thrive in the fire. The audience tunes in because of me, not in spite of me. They'll rage now. They'll throw shade, but they'll keep watching because I'm the one who keeps the show alive." She leaned closer, eyes blazing. And as for Jackie, she thinks she can play moral police. Better remember her own skeletons before she comes for me again. Outside those rooms, the internet war was heating up. Timeline split in half. Comment sections flooded with rage and pity. One fan tweeted, "Ty deserves so much better. Evelyn crossed the line." Another fired back, "Ty's marriage was doomed anyway. Don't blame Evelyn for being honest." And then scattered in between, or the voices demanding accountability from the man at the center of it, Alta's husband. Memes mocked his silence. GIFs of empty chairs went viral with captions like "waiting for the husband to speak." The internet wasn't letting him disappear quietly. Back in the main studio, Jackie regrouped with Chantel, who had stayed eerily calm throughout the madness. Chantel sat with her arms crossed, her face unreadable, but her eyes full of thought. "Mom," she began carefully, "I understand why you're defending Ty, I get it. But can I ask you something? This really about Ty, or is this about you proving a point? The way you exploded at Evelynette felt like more than just outrage for Ty. It felt personal." Jackie froze mid-step, her eyes narrowing as if the question cut deeper than she expected. She turned slowly, her voice rising with fiery conviction. "Of course it's personal," she snapped. "Betrayal doesn't just hurt the person in the marriage, it spreads. It poisons. It destroys families. I've seen women like Evelyn before sneaking into places they don't belong, tearing apart lives like it's a game. If nobody calls them out, they keep going. I'm not standing by while a sister of mine suffers." She softened just slightly, placing a hand on Chantel's shoulder. "Okay. And don't forget, I know what betrayal feels like. It's poison. And once it spreads, it changes everything. I won't let that happen to Ty." Chantel exhaled slowly, clearly unconvinced but unwilling to push further. She knew when her mother's fire couldn't be tamed, so she stayed quiet, watching as Jackie stormed out of the room. Her footsteps heavy with purpose. Everyone in the building knew what that meant. He wasn't finished. She wanted another round, and nothing was going to stop her. Producers scrambled, whispering frantically into headsets, trying to keep the women separated before chaos broke loose again. But fans online were already predicting it. Comments poured in. Round 2 is coming. Jackie is about to finish what she started. Ty hasn't even unleashed her full fury yet. The anticipation for more drama was almost as intense as the fight itself. And yet, in the middle of this firestorm, Ty's husband remained a ghost. No appearance, no statement, no apology. His silence screamed louder than words, feeding speculation. Was he hiding out of guilt? Was he refusing to take sides? Or was he letting the women tear each other apart while he slipped into the shadows? Whatever the answer, fans weren't letting him off the hook. They demanded his presence, his accountability, his voice. But for now, the focus was locked on Evelyn and Ty, with Jackie standing as judge and jury, determined to expose every crack. What no one knew was that this was only the beginning. And the fallout had the power to shake not just one marriage, but every friendship and alliance connected to it. The hours after the taping turned into a battlefield of whispers, phone calls, and frantic damage control. Ty sat with her closest friends, her voice from crying, but her determination sharper than ever. "I feel like my whole life is collapsing in front of the world." She admitted, her words trembling yet filled with raw honesty. The betrayal isn't just behind closed doors any merits trending. It's a spectacle, and everyone's got an opinion. How do I even begin to heal when millions of strangers are dissecting my pain like it's entertainment? Jackie, seated beside her, reached out and squeezed her hand tightly. You don't have to heal in silence, she declared. You've got me. You've got people who won't let Evelyn's actions slide. This isn't just about gossip. It's about truth. If you let her narrative dominate, she'll walk away clean and you'll be left carrying the weight. That cannot happen. Brandy, who had been refreshing her phone nonstop, interjected. Jackie's right about one thing. Evelyn's already speaking. She's dropping cryptic posts, sharing selfies with captions like unbothered and that truth always wins. Fans are divided. Some think she's taunting Ty. Others say she's hinting she has proof to back herself up. Whatever it is, she's not backing down. She's ready for war. Ty shook her head, her voice breaking. War. I didn't ask for war. I wanted loyalty. I wanted love. I wanted a marriage that could survive the storms. Instead, I got humiliation. BROADCAST for the world to see. I don't even know how to face my kids. What do I tell them when their mother's heartbreak is viral content? She broke down again, tears streaming freely, her sobs echoing in the silent room. Outside, Evelyn was plotting her counterattack. Surrounded by her inner circle, she vented furiously. They're turning me into a monster because it's easier than facing reality. She seized. Ty's husband pursued me, not the other way around. But do you think anyone wants to hear that? No. Because it's simpler to crucify Evelyn than admit he's not the man they painted him to be. She pulled out her phone and waved it like a weapon. I have messages. I have receipts. If they want to keep dragging me, I'll burn this whole fantasy down. I'm not the homewrecker. They're living in a house that was already crumbling. Friends exchanged nervous glances, some urging caution. One whispered, if you release those messages, you'll make enemies you can't take back. Once it's out, there's no one doing it. But Evelyn's eyes glimmered with the thrill of danger. Good, she smirked. Let them come for me. I'll show them that I don't play defense. I strike back harder. Meanwhile, online chatter escalated to a fever pitch. Fans dissected every angle, analyzing clips like detectives zooming into background reactions, trying to piece together hidden truths. One viral thread claimed they spotted the husband sneaking glances at Evelyn during earlier episodes, suggesting this affair wasn't a sudden shock, but a slow burn happening right under everyone's noses. Another thread posted side-by-side comparisons of Ty's recent interviews, highlighting the sadness in her eyes as proof she had suspected long before the public explosion. The family dynamics added another layer of drama. Chantel pulled Jackie aside privately, her voice firm but concerned. Mom, I need you to think about what you're doing. Yes, Evelyn is wrong if what you're saying is true. Yes, Ty's hurting, but you're making yourself the center of this storm. Every time you speak, the story gets bigger. And now it's not just about Ty, it's about you versus Evelyn. Do you really want to carry that? Jackie turned slowly, her gaze unflinching. I don't care if I carry it. My voice amplifies the pain of betrayal so the world understands it. Then I'll take that burden. I've been through enough to know silence only protects the guilty. Evelyn wants to dance on Ty's heartbreak, not on my watch. Chantel sighed, sensing the immovable wall of her mother's conviction. Just remember, Mom, when you set fire to someone else's house, the flames don't ask permission before they touch yours. Her warning hung heavy in the air, but Jackie brushed it aside, already plotting her next move. Ty's husband, meanwhile, remained silent, and that silence was deafening. His absence turned him into the phantom villain of the saga, with fans creating memes of him hiding behind couches, dodging responsibility. Others speculated he was working on a statement that could either expose Evelyn or attempt to repair his marriage. But every hour he stayed quiet only fueled the fire. Late that night. As the cast members were escorted out separately to avoid another physical clash, paparazzi swarmed like vultures. Flashbulbs exploded as they shouted questions. Ty, are you leaving your husband? Evelyn, do you regret the affair? Jackie, are you fighting Ty's battles or your own? None of them answered, but their silence was captured in 1,000 snapshots plastered online within minutes. Each image sparking new debates. Inside the ride home, Ty stared blankly out the window, her tears reflecting the neon lights outside. Jackie sat beside her, whispering reassurances, though her own eyes burned with restless energy. You're not alone, she said firmly. You'll never be alone in this. We'll fight until the truth shines through. Somewhere else, Evelyn smirked at her phone, already planning her next move. Her fingers hovering over screenshots she hadn't yet unleashed. To her, this wasn't the end of the fight. It was only the beginning of a larger war. The storm had spread beyond. The studio walls seeping into homes, feeds, and hearts everywhere. And as dawn approached, one thing became terrifyingly clear. This betrayal wasn't just personal anymore. It was public property. And everyone wanted a piece of it. As the dust settles, one truth remains impossible to ignore. This storm is far from over. Jackie's fierce defense of Ty has thrown Evelyn into the center of the fire, and the silence from Ty's husband has only deepened the mystery. Fans are left asking, is this the end of a marriage or the beginning of an even darker scandal? The emotions we witnessed weren't just surface-level anger. They were raw wounds spilling out in front of cameras that captured every tear, every glare. Every word. The betrayal has left friendships fractured, families divided, and the audience more invested than ever. But what happens next? Will Ty walk away from her husband for good? Or will she choose forgiveness despite the public humiliation? Will Evelyn double down with her so-called receipts? Or will she finally back down under the weight of public backlash? And what role will Jackie continue to play, protector or instigator? One thing is clear, this isn't just reality television anymore. This is a saga that has spilled out of the screen and into the real lives of everyone watching. And now the future of these relationships hangs in the balance, teetering between destruction and redemption. But now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Jackie was right to call out Evelyn so publicly? Is Ty strong enough to rebuild her life after this betrayal? And do you think Evelyn will release the evidence she's threatening to drop her? Is it all smoke and mirrors? Share your thoughts in the comments because your voice is part of this story too. Don't forget to hit that like button if you were shocked by tonight's revelations. Subscribe so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding drama, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when the next twist drops. Trust us, this storm is only getting started, and you won't want to miss a second of it. Second of it, second of it,